Today we're going to be changing the front pads and rotors on a 2018 Camry XSE. Before we go, I would like you to subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to make it to 1,000. Posted a lot of videos trying to help people out. Just looking for a little bit of help getting to the number. I appreciate it. Lug nuts are 21 millimeter. Always leave one on just a few threads so that you can bust the tire loose if it happens to be stuck on the hub. This one was already loose, so take that last one off. It should be ready to remove. Caliper bolts are 14 millimeter. Looks like I gotta hold that one with a wrench. It's spinning. You're gonna want to remove both of these, and then we're going to pull the caliper off and hang it, because we're gonna need to remove the caliper frame in order to get the rotor off. If you got a thin wall wrench, it's maybe 16, 17 millimeter, but I don't, so I just used a pair of vice grips to hold onto that, so it didn't spin while we remove the bolt. Next, just want to peel your caliper off and hang it up out of the way. Find a spot right there. And then we're going to remove the old pads and also these bolts on the back side to take this frame off. Pads, you can just get in here with the little flat blade screwdriver. Peel them out, remove both sides. Caliper bracket bolts are 17 millimeter. Both bolts out, you can just take that frame off. Then you should be able to pop the rotor off. There's no screws that are holding it in, so it's probably just froze on a little bit. You want to tap the back side. Probably I'm going to put a lug nut back on here, that way you can hit it, not worry about it come off and hit the floor. Sometimes these can be pretty froze on with rust. You can kind of see some rust around here. You can thread 2 bolts in here. I don't remember what size they are, but you can look it up. And you can drive the rotor off of the hub. I just usually stick a lug nut on and then smack with a hammer. Sometimes it takes more effort than that, but you can get them off most of the time that way. Take your old rotor off, clean up the edge of that with a wire brush. It's a little rusty. If you're going to be keeping the car for a while, you can throw some anti-seize on this area. You can also clean up with a Scotch-Brite pad, just anything to knock the rust off. Kind of get things back to where it's bare metal. Then you're going to use some anti-seize, that way you don't have this problem in the future. Put your new rotor on. I'll have to hold it up in place while you replace that caliper frame. Put these 17 millimeter bolts back in. Get those good and tight. Then we're going to need to compress our brake caliper cylinder just a little bit so that we can get the new pads seated in here and it'll have enough room to fit around there. You want to install this hardware onto the brake pad on the end. So you have a squealer tab. And you can load your pads into the bracket here. Get both sides, squeeze them tight, make sure they're touching the rotor, and then you can compress the piston and lower the caliper back down. You can use specialty tools or C-clamps or whatnot. I use a wood clamp a lot of times just to compress that piston. Get it back flat. Usually I'll stop a little bit before flush because of that seal. And I'll check to make sure. See, I'm gonna have to push that seal back down on the sides there, but check and make sure it's got enough clearance to go over those pads. All right, we got it compressed and I got the seal reseated. There's kind of like two lips, so if you use a little pick tool, I used a hose pick tool for like radiator hoses, and put it in between the two lips and push down, then it kind of reseats the rubber in the correct spot. And then you can slip it over the pads, reinsert your two 13mm bolts. Before you lower the caliper back on, you can put your spring clips in place. Sometimes you might have to hold the pads in with a clamp or a C-clamp or something while you put the caliper back on, because they're being pushed out by those springs. And you can reinsert your 13mm bolts, tighten those down. Last step is to put the wheel back on, tighten up the lug nuts.